Welcome to the Serpentine Creative Channel. I'm your host, Stella Williams, and you're watching Serpentine Reads. Hey guys, I know it's been a little while. I've been sick the last couple of weeks, and I'm still kind of recovering, hence why the unicorn onesie is making its appearance again. But yeah, so I'm back. But today on Serpentine Reads, I will be talking about not necessarily a review, more like a reading vlog, my thoughts, opinions on Blade So Black and A Dream So Dark. So I know this one is an older title. It came out last year, I think. Actually, I don't even know when this came out, but I know it's been out for a while now, and there's plenty of reviews on this book. This one came out last month, and I held off on reading this one so that I could read them both together. So I'm just going to start out with A Blade So Black, obviously, because it's the first book. I am not typically a YA reader, so, but and I'm really not all that much of an Alice in Wonderland fan, but when I saw the book cover, I was instantly intrigued, and I decided that I wanted to go ahead and read it. I got through this book in like a day. I was fully into the world. I loved the whole idea of, Wonderland as this dreamland with the nightmares and all of that, and Alice was just a really interesting character. And while at certain points it was easy for me to forget that I was in fact reading a YA novel, I feel like the author did a really good job of highlighting that Alice is a kid. And I really loved like the interactions with her mom, having to have a curfew, and having the mom having realistic reactions to her daughter basically acting a fool. As a mother myself, that is, granted my kids are super little right now, but like just the thinking of having like teen daughters and some of the shenanigans that they can get into and how I would react as a parent, I found it very realistic. So I really appreciated that, because one of the things that I find in the YA sphere is a lot of the times the parent is very much absent from the story, whether or not it's because the child was orphaned or whatnot, but there's usually not that realistic parental figure, and there was in this book. So I really enjoyed that. Not to mention just seeing like how she, like me picking up on like references from the original storyline with the naming of the characters and everything. I just really enjoyed this book, and I'm trying not to give spoilers. Granted, this book has been out for a while, so it shouldn't really matter if I give out spoilers, but I really hate spoilers. So if you haven't read this one yet, definitely go get it, check it out, and go ahead and just pick up A Dream So Dark after, because you're going to want to read it, because this book was really amazing. And I am thoroughly glad that I waited to read it until I got this one so that I could just jump right in. Because if I had read this one and and had to wait months and the months between releases for this one, I would have been very sad with myself for that. So that was A Blade So Black. Getting into A Dream So Dark. Obviously, it was a continuation from A Blade So Black, and it jumped right in, from where we left off with one of her friends being corrupted by nightmares, and her trying to figure out, how to basically get her friend back and to fix the issues that were left open at the end of A Blade So Black. And honestly, I did not read this one as quickly as the first. And that's not to say that it's not a good book or even on par. It's just something that I find with a lot of series is the first book is where you're introduced to all these new ideas and everything. So you're like, oh, what's going to happen next? And this is so new and everything. And then once you're enmeshed in the world and everything, that's when the second book comes along, and it's much more about with the world already being built. It's a lot more about the character development, and sometimes that can feel a little less, it's a little less actiony, a little less exciting, but that doesn't mean that the story isn't good or full of action. There's a lot of things that go on in this book, a lot of battles and a lot of craziness, and further delving into into Wonderland. Because I believe in the first book we stay on the west side a lot, and we don't get to see a lot of what is actually in the dreamscape or in Wonderland, whereas in this book it is almost entirely set in Wonderland. So you don't so you get to see a lot more of it. You get introduced to more characters and creatures and things that are the norm in Wonderland that are kind of crazy for Alice and for some of the other characters who aren't familiar with the different the realms within Wonderland. And in this, if Alice really comes into her muchness, as Hannah likes to say in the first book. And yeah, so this was another really great read, and I am a little sad because I know that there is going to be a next book, and the next book isn't going to be out for a while, and I really want to see what happens next with everything that's going on in Wonderland. And now that Alice has a little more knowledge about her muchness, and not to give any spoilers or anything, but I have some ideas about why Alice is so different from the other dreamwalkers that she's encountered, and why her muchness is so much muchier than the others. But like I said, I don't want to give spoilers, so I'm not gonna say anything. There's a lot of really clever hints dropped in here that I'm hoping that I am reading correctly. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I got out of A Dream So Dark. It was a fun read. There's a lot of action. You delve a lot more into the Wonderland world, and getting to know more about Alice and the other characters. So I'm excited to see what happens in the next book. So again, if you have not read either of these books, I highly suggest that you go and check these out. And that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And have a great day.